Hey everybody, this is ReapeeRon, and today we're going to be doing another one of Ron's reviews. This one's going to be on a movie called Wolf Creek. This one came out in 2005. The reason why I'm doing it is because I actually want to see the other ones. I've seen the second one, but I still need to watch the TV series that I didn't even know existed until today. And the third one, which I'm not sure when that one's supposed to come out. Anyway, this movie did come out in 2005. It was filmed in Australia. It's about the Australian outback. And it's about a group of backpackers who are befriended and then attacked by a crazy Australian serial killer. And this movie was based on actual events. I'm going to get into that too in just a second. So the story is pretty simple. Just, pretty basic horror story. Friends go out into the unknown and then there's a serial killer there. Just because it's basic and has been done a lot doesn't mean it's bad. It's just, somewhat already seen, predictable, I guess. Anyway, the true events that it was based on, it was mostly based on the serial killer Ivan Millant, who was an Australian serial killer in the 1990s, who picked up and then tortured and killed hitchhikers. Although it wasn't in the outback like it is in this, it's in it was in New South Wales. I'm not really familiar with Australia, but I imagine Australians will know what I'm talking about. Well, they probably grew up knowing about it anyway. And he was found. He was caught. He was convicted, and he was sentenced to life in prison in maximum security, and stays there to this day. If you want to learn more about him in particular, Rob Dyke did a really good video on him about, I don't know how many months ago, quite a few. It was in his Anatomy of Murder series, and you should probably go check that out if you want to see more about him. If not, if you're just interested in the movie, stay here. Anyway, this movie was directed and written by Greg McLean, who also did... he did both of the Wolf Creek ones. I'm not sure if he did the TV series. I didn't check that. I wasn't even aware there was a TV series until I looked at that. And I thought it was completely, separate. I was like, okay, I did all my research on this that I want to do, and then there was this other thing that just said Wolf Creek TV series. I was like, okay, click on that. That's probably nothing. That's probably, some other something. But apparently it's related. It has the same concept. I think it has the same actor as at least who's the bad guy in all of them. And that actor is John Garrett, I think is how you say his name, or maybe it's Jarrett. I don't know. He's in both the two movies the two Wolf Creeks that I've seen. He's probably in the TV series as well. He's also in Django Unchained, and he was in Australia as well. And he's actually from Australia. Imagine that, an Australian in Australia. Yeah. Those are the two main names that I want to talk about, at least with this one. Mainly because none of the other characters really seem to stand out, really, compared to them. And I'll get into the pros and cons once we get into the pros and cons. First, we're going to do the parental guide. For those of you who do not know what the parental guide is, it's based off the IMDb parental guide, but it's completely based on my opinion. It falls into 5 categories. You can score 1 through 10 in all of these categories. This does not affect my overall rating of the movie. This is just how much of that content is in the movie based on 1 to 10. 1 meaning there's very little to none of it, and 10 being that there's a lot of it. The categories are sex and nudity, violence and gore, profanity, drug and alcohol use, and frightening and intense scenes. So we'll get, and it goes in that order. So let's get to that. In sex and nudity, this one really doesn't have too much. The serial killer in it seems to be somewhat turned on, I guess, by what he's doing. So I guess there's that aspect to it, but there's no nudity in this one. There are sexual remarks and actions that are shown generally early on, some of it later, but again, no nudity. So I'm going to say this one's a 5 out of 10 in sex and nudity. It still is there, but for an R-rated movie, it's not a ton. For violence and gore, I'm going to say this is a 10 out of 10. There's a lot of violence and gore in this one. At least in terms of quality over quantity. You know what I mean? Where there isn't a million people just dying like crazy. It's only a few, and it's fairly graphic. So that's why I'm going to say 10 out of 10. I think that's fair, even though I would say that this isn't as gory or as violent as other movies that I've watched or have even, talked about on the channel. A good example of this would be like, I don't think it's nearly as gory as Martyrs or as Inside or something like that. But it's still pretty gory. Like I said, there is a lot of violence and gore. Most notably is the spine sever scene, which is pretty much the most famous scene of the whole movie. So that's later on, and it's not really a spoiler since everybody knows about it, but it's still a really intense scene. Then we have profanity. In profanity, I'm just going to say this one's a 7 out of 10. I'm honestly not very good at rating profanity or the drugs and alcohol use. But I would say it's pretty much what you would expect in an R-rated movie. That's especially an R-rated horror movie. You just kind of have to expect there to be a good amount of swearing in it usually. That doesn't go for all movies, but it goes for a lot of them. At least that, fall into R rating or higher. Unless you're like Clockwork Orange and have almost no swearing and it's rated X. Then there's drug and alcohol use. Again, I'm going to say this one's a 7 out of 10. It's about what you'd expect. There's not a ton, but there is some. There's drinking all throughout as well as smoking throughout. But none of it in an excessive amount where it's heavily impacting people or things like that, or people being drugged, or... Well, there is people being drugged, but still, pretty much what you would expect from... that an R-rated movie. And then the last one is frightening and intense scenes. I'm going to say this one's a 10 out of 10. The whole second half of the movie is fairly intense. Frightening, there isn't really any sort of jump scares. At least that I can remember. I don't think that there was. Again, that's subjective anyway to people. But... I would say 10 out of 10 just for the intense part of the second half of the movie. First half is pretty tame. It's pretty much like what you'd expect from a slasher movie, honestly. Not a lot of build-up. Maybe a kill at the start or something. I don't even think this one has a kill at the start. It's kind of weird for a slasher movie. I mean, this one isn't particularly a slasher movie, but it still kind of feels like one, which, again, I don't have a problem with. Anyway, we're going to get to the pros and the cons. The pros... I really, really like the bad guy in this, the actor that did it. He did a really good job. The character is just enjoyable. He seems like a serial killer, like how a serial killer would be. I mean, he's not, he's not unrealistic how some movies portray serial killers where they're, massively intelligent or, completely stupid and awkward. It's like he just seems like a normal person and could be charming and... just convincing, seeming like a normal person, seeming like somebody that has your best interests with it, and then all of a sudden switching to the murderous serial killer that he could be. So I really like that. I like the violence and gore, and this movie was actually pretty fun to watch. I won't lie, it is a fun movie to watch as far as a horror movie goes. So if you're just looking for something to toss in and watch, I'd probably recommend this. It's also only 90 minutes long, so it's not a dreadfully long movie that's just, can be boring or drawn out. It wraps it up pretty quickly and does a pretty good job at that. The cons, I would say that it's not particularly for everybody. And here's going to be like a somewhat personal, not so much with this, and that is just understanding people's dialects. Not all of us dumb Americans, but some of us can't really understand slang terms too well from other countries. Australia, I have an easier time with than the UK. I definitely do. But at points, there are still times when I'm just like, what did you just say to me? You know, if somebody had said that to me. Like, I'm both confused and somewhat concerned about what you're saying. And, you know, that's not really even a con. I mean, that's just somewhat of a, I guess, a pet peeve. Not really, though. It's just, I like to know what people are saying. And I obviously know that slang terms, especially from different countries and from different times and countries, can be very difficult to understand for somebody who's not used to them. I imagine it goes the same way, the other way around, when like Australian people watch American things and we say something weird, and it's something normal for us and it's something weird for them. Again, sorry, I'm not trying to pick on you, Australia. You're a pretty awesome country. And I do mean that honestly. I do actually have some stuff from Australia, which is quite nice. I wish I still had my boomerang from Australia. I don't know what the heck happened to... Oh, I know what happened to that. Dog ate that. Anyway, sorry, that's on a personal note. So my overall score on Wolf Creek, the 2005, I will be doing Wolf Creek 2 and the series if I watch it. I hopefully won't forget. Hopefully I do that. It might still be ongoing, so it might take me a while to actually review it. Anyway, my overall review of Wolf Creek is a solid 7 out of 10. I liked it. It was a good movie. It's a good horror movie. It's a fun movie. If you like horror, if you like slashers, if you like just suspenseful movies, you'll probably like this one. That being said, I can still see that there could be problems with it. Not everybody's going to like it. Various other somewhat nitpicky parts could be said. But honestly, I was expecting pretty much a slasher movie, and I got an above average slasher movie by every means. So I would definitely say watch it if you like horror movies. Otherwise, I don't know why you clicked on the video. Anyway, that does it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have been having a good day, keep on having a good day. If you guys have been having a bad day, hope this video makes your days a little better. Hope to see all of you guys next time. Until then, stay cool and bye.